on all the places that we go live. I'll change what we're streaming.
So this is Forza.
This is Forza Horizon. What? How many of these have they made? 5?
Yeah, 5.
Okay, Forza Horizon.
One of the games of the year from last year.
Yeah. And is this on this is on Xbox Series X, right?
Yeah, because of streaming issues, I wasn't able to get it running on PC, but
Bummer.
Xbox Series X looks just as nice. So,
wait, which Horizon is this? The new one?
yeah, this is the newest one. We're in Mexico. I'm just gonna go through my cars really quick, see if I can pick something different. Have y'all had a chance to play this ever?
No, actually, I haven't played any of the Horizon games, but I have played Motorsport.
Oh, okay, got you.
They're good. They're racing games. It's like unless you're really into it, it's hard to see the differences between all of them. But I know that Horizon's a lot more arcadey than
yeah.
others.
It leans more like I would say it's more Need for Speed Midnight Club than it is like a Gran Turismo Horizon Motorsport. Not Horizon. I'm sorry, Forza Motorsport.
Forza Horizon.
Yeah, it's more of that. But I mean, I enjoy like I never played these for 360 because I never had a 360. I played it for the first time like last year, and yeah, I just love this series.
I played a little bit. I let my my little boy wanted to play. He'd see me. He'd come in, and I'd be playing Grand Theft Auto, and I just couldn't have that. So
Right.
Yeah.
I downloaded Horizon and let him just drive the car in the open world, and he loved it.
I tried to play Mario Kart with my kid like last week because you can like put the settings on so that the car basically drives itself and stuff like that. Yeah. And he liked controlling the car and all that kind of thing, but he was so distracted by like all this stuff in the scenery, so he would see like a Mario on the billboard and he'd be like, I want to go there. He didn't understand that you have to stay on the track in that game.
That's awesome. It's awesome seeing them discover like games, you know?
Right.
It's incredible.
Yeah, different genres.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you been playing, Cole?
Returnal. Me and Thomas played co-op.
Game of the year.
And, man, I'm seeing it too. Like, and I argued for it being game of the year because it was so different, and I thought it was special and it felt next gen. But I didn't play it all that much. And now, after we played co-op, it's almost like it's just like whenever when you watch a show, sometimes it just doesn't really click. And then you go back and watch it in kind of a different frame of mind, and all of a sudden you love it. Like I did that with Game of Thrones. I tried Game of Thrones probably 8 different times, and whatever
on the right day.
It does. I was sick one weekend, and I just like had patience, watched it, and loved it. But anyway, when we played Returnal, the co-op is really well done. We thought it was awesome. I mean, you have to divvy up all the consumables and everything, and the health. So it's not just double of everything.
Okay.
We would go into an area.
You have to fight over it.
Exactly. We have to fight over it, or
you have to negotiate for
it. Right. And there's a revive mechanic. So if he goes down, then I have to survive and revive him. And we had some really intense play sessions over it.
I feel like that alone changes the nature of the game, just because I was so invested in having like multiple tries within a round, right? So like I would spend all of my currency on getting an astronaut doll or something like that to allow me to survive. But if I can deprioritize that kind of stuff and focus in on like doing higher damage or whatever else it is, that I feel like that changes the whole makeup of the game.
Yeah.
It's certainly not a
it was really fun. So it's gotten me back into it.
Well, okay,
and
let's go then.
How far in are you?
So I'm still. This is embarrassing. This is how embarrassing. I'm in the first biome still.
Yeah. It takes,
but
it's
We got to the second one together, and then we pretty much died. But But yeah, by myself, I've just gotten to the final boss, and I've really only been playing it. Like we played it that one night together, and it was kind of like my reintroduction to the game. And then I've really only been playing it another 4 hours or whatever, just kind of dicking around, just discovering stuff.
Gotcha. Sweet.
Great game. Excellent game.
Did you beat it, Thomas?
I got to the 4th biome and then I don't know, something just I don't know. It just I like the game a lot, but I didn't really want to continue it. Not speaking any ill of the game or anything. And I feel like if Cole is on board, we might just beat it.
Do that co-op?
Yeah, I think that because that was to me just doing that. I had way more fun playing with Cole than all the times I've died playing by myself.
Yeah, the co-op makes it. And what we were talking about is how interesting would it be if for a sequel they came up with like a game as a service, some kind of like four player dungeon crawler type game or whatever, and keep the stakes high, where like you have the revive mechanic. If everyone on your team dies out, that's it. You have to re-up. You have to restart. But like everyone could go in with kind of slightly different builds or whatever. Maybe you could pick something from the beginning. I think it could be really cool.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I mean, like a lot of Housemarque's prior games were pretty multiplayer centric. You could co-op all of Resogun and Dead Nation, Alienation. I think those games were only co-op, if I'm not mistaken. You might have been able to play them
how is Dead Nation?
I never played those games.
Me neither.
Dead Nation came out after Resogun, right?
Alien Nation did, I think. Dead Nation
they had a string of games. They had Matterfall. They had Hell Risers, which I liked a lot.
I'm curious what came out after Resogun, because to me, Resogun was the one that like was really stellar.
Yeah, Matterfall was one that came out. Nex Machina was the other one.
Yes.
That you're probably thinking of. Nex Machina was really good. Matterfall, it didn't click with me as much.
Nex Machina. And Nex Machina, is that co-op?
Actually, don't remember. I don't remember if it was.
Me and Cole were talking about this. Do you think that Returnal is their best game?
Yeah, easily.
Okay. I still think it's Resogun, but I do think it's kind of close. I think that they're both just really good, like masterfully made games. But I prefer Resogun just a tad bit more.
Yeah, Resogun's good, but I just don't think you can like. It's just kind of apples and oranges. They're just on a totally new level with Returnal.
In terms of the scope of Returnal, like it's definitely is a very impressive looking game as far as just how it looks. You can tell it just has a different level of scope compared to their other games.
Looks like Nex Machina does have co-op. I never beat that one. I would be interested in co-oping that one if you guys are interested in some arcade shit.
Especially if it's like a few, like 2 or 3 players, 4 players.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many it is.
So here's what I think I think Returnal is missing the just all out like kind of bullet hell that I know it may be harder to do in like a 3D space, but it's missing that, like, I don't know, that's what I wanted it to have, like Resogun, where like my favorite gun's the carbine, where it's just a constant beret of it's just like an assault rifle. But like I wanted to be able to like progress and like turn it into like like spreads, or like you upgrade it over time and you get these more and more powerful. Like Resogun is really awesome about doing that. You start with the one shot, then you get the triple shots, then you get like the burst, and you just constantly feel like you're getting more and more powerful and being able to do more and more damage, even though the game's getting harder. But it just felt so good. And I feel like in Returnal, it's like you're from what it seems like you're stuck with the same 4 weapons the whole game, and they don't change much.
You get a lot more, and the more you use them, the more they can roll with. There's always like a bit of randomness to it, to what specific perks or whatever you get on the guns, attributes, whatever they call them. But the more you use the guns, the more types of things that you can unlock for them so that they have more variability, and then like higher tiers of that kind of stuff. So there is a good bit of variability, and the weapon list widens with each biome for sure.
Is there anything that's more like the carbine, but maybe more of a I
can't remember.
More of a spread, I guess. Like something that feels like those shooters. You know how you get those guns and those top down shooters that just chaos. They're just crazy.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember if there's like any super high rate of fire ones. I have to imagine there was, but I can't remember.
I know
exactly.
with the pistol, there's like some kind of, which I don't even understand how this works, but I know with the pistol, sometimes you get it and you have those little orbs those little homing orbs that will come out. And sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't. I guess it's just a random roll.
Yeah, it's based on like what attributes the gun has.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I wish there was more of that kind of stuff. Maybe there is, as long as the more you play it, I guess. But
yeah, stick with it. You'll see a good bit more of the variability as you get further along in the game. And then I think you'll also like develop affinities for certain guns or certain builds, things that you want to prioritize as you play. But there is a bit of frustration in that it's always somewhat random, so you're never totally guaranteed to get exactly what you want. It just means like when you do get what you want, it's like, oh man, I really got to make this run count.
Yeah, I know.
I've got exactly what I need.
Yeah,
for success.
Did y'all ever play Dead Cells? I know I kept trying to push it on you guys, but I don't know.
I haven't yet. I'd still like to.
It's in the problem children of the games that I have of it's on Game Pass, but I want it on Switch.
Play it on Switch. Seriously, you got to play it on Switch.
It's also on the PS Plus service. So it's
it is.
Well, try it there, and then if you think it might be worth it. But I cannot stress enough. Please play that game. It is so good. So good.
Yeah, it's just for me. Like when I know I have access to a game, but then I have to pay for it again to play it on a different platform. It's like, I don't know, like the frugalness in me is like, I cannot buy this game if I
try it. Look, if you love it enough, you might
did like it when I tried it out on Game Pass. I maybe played an hour of it and I was like, I get this. This is cool. It reminded me a lot of Hollow Knight in terms of, just overall like just feeling of it. I liked it, but I don't know if I'll get around to it at least for the next couple of weeks because
it's a lot more fast paced than Hollow Knight, and you have the runs and you have your different builds and your different weapons. The combat feels so good.
What have you been playing lately, Thomas? Aside from Forza Horizon 5?
Yeah, besides Forza, I have been obviously Returnal, what Cole just talked about.
Right.
But I have been exploring the PlayStation Plus collection.
Yeah. And
I found a game that I was not expecting I'd ever play because I'm not a golf game fan. But I'm playing every day. I think it's Everyday Golf.
Everybody's golf.
Thank you. I know it's every something. Everybody's Golf. Everyday Golf. That's the sequel.
Everybody's golf every day, all the time.
Yes. And I've been playing this game every day. I really like. Have y'all ever played Everybody's Golf?
I played a lot.
No, I haven't.
So it is the most Nintendo game not made by Nintendo I've ever played. Like there's a certain like charm to all the characters like that you unlock that you're playing against. That's very Nintendo-esque. I love it. I love just the core mechanics of it. It's pretty simple to learn.
Yeah.
Simple to learn, hard to master. And yeah, I've just been really loving that. Probably played a good like maybe 10 hours of it this week, and it's probably going to be in my rotation for a little bit.
Sweet, sounds good. You played a lot of what's the one on Quest? Hot Shots Golf?
Yeah. Oh, Walkabout Mini Golf.
Yes. Yeah, I played a lot of that too.
And I was playing a little bit of that this week as well because I was getting the golf vibes.
Yeah, I was like, I kind of feel like I don't know how a non-VR golf game could possibly compare to a VR golf game.
Honestly, quite favorably.
Really?
Quite favorably, because it's way different, because
Sure.
it feels more like a mini game that I enjoy doing. That's what everybody's golf kind of feels like.
Well, and it's a full golf game. But like as far as a putt game, you can't compare to like the Walkabout mini golf. But like since everybody's
the full experience,
since everybody's golf is a full like holes and everything, it's fun, and it is like a mini game, like Thomas said. Like it's a very unique game. It's probably the best golf game I've ever played. And you can run around the course. So like you have your character, you can run around the course. You can play multiplayer. And you run to your ball and everything, which makes it fun, cartoony. It's kind of like Hot Shots golf, but
there is an Everybody's Golf VR on PSVR. I haven't played. I think I have it, but I haven't played it.
It's stuck on PlayStation VR. I wish that was on Quest. That's an immediate buy.
Maybe I should jump in. I also don't know if it's multiplayer or not. I feel like that's a pretty big deal breaker if it's not multiplayer.
It would have to be, right? Like that'd be the ultimate just like mislayout.
Yeah, right.
How often do you pull out the PlayStation VR, Ben?
Very
once
rarely.
every 3 years.
Yeah, very rarely at this point. It's sitting right next to me. I'm just like, last time I really played it for a good chunk of time was when Hitman 3 came out. So over a year ago, I guess.
It's just such a task getting all the chords and laying them all out.
Yeah.
It sounds super lazy, but it sucks.
Wait, when did Hitman 3 come? Yeah, it was last year. It was early last year. Okay. Sorry. I thought I was going insane there. Yeah, but Hitman VR is awesome. I'm definitely going to play more of that once PSVR 2 is out, assuming that they like properly port it to PSVR 2 so that it's got updated graphics, and at the very least that they update the controllers layout, because that's the thing that bothers me right now about Hitman VR is that it's all on the DualShock, so you like only have control of one of your hands. It's just a weird setup, very weird control scheme.
I was actually going to try it out because Hitman 3 is on Game Pass. And you can use the VR mode if you do like on
PC
virtual. Yeah, you can do it on virtual desktop if you just know how to do it. The only thing that held me back was they said it's not upgraded at all. It literally just looks like how the PlayStation VR version looked. Like, did you find it a little lacking in terms of its visual style, or
no? It's one of the best. One of the best looking PSVR games. I mean, like compared to other PC VR games, I'm not sure how it would stand up, but it's not a bad looker. And like if the resolution is scaled so that it's clearer, I think I think it's going to be a good time.
Okay, I'm gonna try it out. I've been
Galactic Clams in the Galactic Clams in the chat says do it. Hitman 3 equals game of the year. It would have been if Clams and I had our way.
It would have not.
So Returnal was the game of the year.
Yeah, I mean, and I play like half of Hitman 3's missions. I would probably, if I had to revote, I probably would go Hitman 3. Like if I had the knowledge that I have now, I would have definitely voted Hitman 3 because that's a special experience.
Yeah, it's some good shit. Although I do take the criticism that it's like, it's Hitman 1 and it's Hitman 2.
It's like Hitman 1.8.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. But it's a really good Hitman 1.8. And Hitman 1 was so good too.
Yeah, it was. It really was. So I've been playing this week. I've been playing The Outer Wilds with my wife after... each evening for an hour or two. Have you guys played this game?
I tried.
I started it. Put it down.
Yeah.
That's funny. Thing. You guys both started it and put it down. So what did you bounce off of?
I just it wasn't anything about the game. It was more so like when I was playing it, I thought I was getting into like a typical video game, and I saw how different it was, and I was just like, not now.
Yeah, that's kind of
the right
exactly
time.
how I felt.
Yeah.
It was not the right time.
Gotcha.
And it was getting a lot of hype too, so I felt almost obligated to play it. And when I started playing it, I was like, not for me right now, but I definitely can't hate on this game at all. It's not a Kingdom Hearts situation.
it's no Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, so tell us about it. What do you think about this thing?
I dig it. I dig it a lot. I've really been enjoying it. So I've got some major gripes with it, and most of my gripes have to do with how abysmally this game controls and feels to play. It just feels really wonky. And I was actually talking to my wife a little bit about this while we were playing, and I was comparing it to Returnal, because Returnal is so precise, and Returnal is so like just engineered to a fine sheen in terms of like how the game plays and the feedback that you're getting as you're playing this game. It's an incredible, like, it's incredibly well designed from that perspective, so that when I die in that game, it's because of my skill, right? It's not because of how awkward the controls are. It's not because of how floaty things are. It's not because of the lack of feedback that I get based on my positioning in the world or what, where enemies are, that kind of thing. And yeah, like every time you die, you lose a good bit of progress in Returnal. But you're also like building the basic skill that you're going to need to get through the game, which is some competency with like the core mechanics, right? With Outer Wilds, it's like a pretty steep penalty for death as well. It doesn't get as crazy as Returnal does, where you can lose like an hour of progress. But every loop is 22 minutes. It's a time loop game. It resets every 22 minutes. And if you die 10, 15 minutes in because you get or you get like sucked into a black hole, which is in one of the planets, which has happened to me. I fall into the black hole in the middle of one of these planets like 20 times. It's absurd.
Oh man.
Just because you're like, there's a bunch of platforming shit in this planet too. So like you make one false move and you fall in the black hole, and then it's like a 3-minute reset to get back to where you were. And the clock's just constantly ticking. So like death is pretty costly, and it's all a little bit too costly in terms of time wasted or time spent to be as imprecise as it is. So there's a lot of frustration there for me. To the point where at the point where we are at the game, where I feel like we're getting pretty close to the end at this point, or an end. I think there's a few different endings. I'm like, I don't know. I'm feeling like getting to the end of our play sessions, feeling like pretty impatient with the game. At the same time, all the things that were raved about this game are really cool and interesting stuff. The just openness, the ability to go anywhere and at any time in the game, you're kind of self-directed engagement with the game is cool. It's very, there's very few games that kind of keep their hands off as much as this one does, that have as much that like offer you as many things to do at once, right? So it really is what catches your eye, what's interesting to you, what's thought-provoking, and then you kind of go down that path and you see where that thread leads you. Maybe you get to a dead end, or maybe you get to some new revelation, and you kind of make a mental note like, okay, I'll check out whatever that was next time, and then you start your loop again and you go wherever your curiosity takes you. So yeah, the core exploration loop and the kind of puzzle solving there is really fun. I think they could have done a little bit more with the emergent story that's happening in the game. It's very surface level, like it's all really like nakedly in service of the player being able to piece together what happened way back when, which obviously, I mean, like that's the whole thrust of the game, but there's not enough character to back up what's going on here to make the story feel like it's not just another gameplay mechanic, which I feel like is a little bit of a missed opportunity. But there's some really cool sci-fi concepts here. Like I don't want to spoil too much of what's happening, but one of my favorite things in the game is just the concept of like these two planets that orbit one another. They're called the Hourglass Twins, and as the loop progresses, one planet starts like encased in ash or sand, and the other planet is like has no sand on it. And then as the loop progresses, the sand falls from one planet into the other planet like an hourglass. So it's like counting down the time that you have. And so the first, the planet that has no sand on it is like fully explorable. There's all these cave systems. You can land like right in the core of the planet pretty much from the outset. But by the end of the loop, it's totally encased. So a lot of the things that you were able to access early on, you couldn't access by the end of the loop. So you got your time gated there. And then on the planet that started with all the sand on it, by the end of the loop, there's so much more accessible to you on the planet than there was before. And just this, this idea that like these planets orbit one another and they kind of have this like back and forth give and take with the sand as the gravitational pull, because the more sand falls on one of the planets, the greater its gravity, and then like the other one is losing mass, so it's losing gravity as you're going, so that changes the dynamic too. Really cool idea, and I think it's borne out very well in the game. So there's all sorts of cool stuff like that. Really digging it. I think we'll probably beat it within the next couple days, and then I'll check out the DLC after that. But aside from my gripes, which they're minor, but they make a big impact on my overall play experience. So I don't think they're something to be downplayed. It is a very interesting game, and it's one that I've been pretty drawn to over the past week.
How do you progress the game? Or like you just kind of learn what's going on, and then you figure out where to go for the ending?
It's all about like what you know. It's all about gathering knowledge. So you're progressing by reading something in one planet that tells you, oh, on this other planet, this experiment was going on, and this experiment is relevant for X, Y, and Z reason, and it took place in this location. So you go to that planet, and you're like, okay, I'm here at this location. How the hell do I get in here? And then you're looking around for the entrance, all that kind of stuff, and like maybe you come across something else on the planet. It's like there were people on a different planet, so you go to that other planet, and then on that third planet, it's like, oh, don't forget about the back door to the facility that you just saw on the second planet. And then you're like, okay, now I'm going to go back to the second planet. And, so it's this like kind of fact gathering thing that happens over time, over loops that eventually stacks up into a way that you can kind of plan to do things over a run. It's not quite like another time loop game, Deathloop, where you have to execute a plan over multiple stages. For the most part, it's once you know something once you know some intel that you've gathered at one place, you don't typically have to revisit that place. It's for the most part, it's mostly about fact gathering. There's not too many things where you have to like, first I have to go to this planet to unlock this on this other planet so that I can, trigger this on the third planet. There's not like a domino setup that you have to do like you do in Deathloop for your final run. Which I think, maybe is a potential opportunity for a game like this, but I think it also helps that isn't the case, at least with how many planets there are and how big the planets are and how long they all take to like properly explore, that kind of thing. It could get unwieldy very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, it sounds really cool.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's fun stuff, and it's not too. It probably seems more involved than it is at the outset. You learn pretty quickly. Just like Ways you can shortcut certain things and to make your experience like more streamlined. Like every time you're in your ship, you can re-up on fuel, that kind of thing. Where it just having those things to kind of fall back on helps you take more risks and get farther as you progress. So yeah, anyway, Outer Wilds, interesting. I am curious to see like where they take things in the DLC and how they evolve this formula, because I think it's pretty cool.
The DLC's already out.
Yeah, it is. It's called Echoes of the Eye.
Nice. Who's the developer?
Mobius Digital, I think. Outer Wilds was their first game.
Really, it's first game. Wow,
I think so.
That was a game of the year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Good for them.
Yeah,
that was a big game. That's crazy. Huh. We're watching this Horizon. This is the thing that just turns me off of these games. Is like it feels and looks so floaty to me. Like it feels like there's a disconnect between the track and the car. And I mean, maybe it's because I'm a big fan of Grand Theft Auto, but it's so floaty, and it just feels like the car doesn't respond to the road and the terrain very well.
Did you ever play like Need for Speed or like Midnight Club?
Midnight Club was a Rockstar game, and I played Midnight Club. I thought it was great.
Like this reminds me of a more generic version of those games.
Yeah.
Because those games, I have a really special relationship with Midnight Club for PSP. Like I love that game. And yeah, I get what you mean by the cars don't feel as grounded as like a GTA car does.
Like the GTA car, you're riding on these bumps, and for better or worse, if you hit a bump wrong, it's gonna send you flying, or it's gonna bounce you off the map or whatever. That's what
but the physics in GTA are fucking absurd as well.
Yeah, like I don't ever like racing. Any racing mission in GTA to the birds. Like it's horrible.
GTA racing is the best by far racing I've ever done. And I've played if I've played 4,000 hours of GTA, I think 2,000 of it's been in racing.
Oh my God, you poor man.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Because look, when you're racing online, you got 16 people. Like if you get bumped, you're done. You're off the track. I mean, you gotta play it right, or you can come up behind somebody and like tap their back end, and you'll just send them off the track. But it's so much more realistic like that, I feel like, than these hard bumps that don't do anything to the car. But then again, it's a little bit unsustainable for racing because it's so crazy. But it feels more realistic to me.
I would say my favorite GTA like driving was GTA 4. GTA 4, like I remember, like I used to have fun actually racing my friends in that game.
Yeah, people either love or hate GTA 4. I didn't like the driving as much as 5 from GTA. GTA 4 is a little too weighty. But a lot of people love GTA 4 racing.
Yeah, I liked it. GTA 4 is one of those games I feel like people kind of forget about it a little bit. Because everybody has fond memories of the trilogy. Mm-hmm. And then GTA 5 is this behemoth.
Right.
But GTA 4, to me, like when it came out, wasn't it like one of the highest selling games of all time?
Oh yeah,
I'm sure it was a massive success.
It was like the biggest game ever, and then it was. But you're right, though. You are absolutely right that it is kind of falls in a crack there between San Andreas and Vice City and
it questionably has the best story of any GTA game.
Yeah.
And I promise you, I'm not this bad. It's like
I've never played GTA 4.
Man, you should play it.
I would love to, but I'm not gonna play it on PS3. I'm not going to.
It's on PC.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it's on PC.
How'd I miss that?
Yeah, it's on PC. It's got all those. That's where like they started doing all the crazy mods,
Mm-hmm.
like Superman, and the Hulk, and everything.
Yeah. Also,
yeah, it is on Steam.
Yeah, and then on Xbox Series X, they gave it like enhancement, so it runs at 60,
That's awesome.
4K 60. So yeah, it's I was playing it a couple months ago, and I was like, damn, like I forgot that I love like these characters, Nico, Roman. Yeah, and it's one of the more underrated games, but
yeah, maybe
And the physics are really good. A lot of folks,
I think
love
those
the
get
physics.
it's love or hate for those too, right?
Yeah, well,
they
like
dialed up Euphoria a lot.
Yeah, the Euphoria was really strong in that one.
Maximum strength Euphoria.
Yeah,
maybe not quite maximum strength. That was probably Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Speaking of Rockstar, apparently Rockstar is going to be winding down Red Dead Online updates to focus on GTA 6, which is kind of wild to me because
that is wild to me.
GTA 5 or GTA Online is still trucking along. What went wrong with Red Dead Online? I was, when the game came out, I was like, okay, maybe not everyone from GTA 5 is going to migrate over to Red Dead Online, but it's going to be big. Like it's going to be pretty damn big, like GTA Online was. But no, it's kind of died with a whimper. Cole, do you know what happened there, or were you always die hard GTA?
No, I played Red Dead Online for a few months. It was just it was very bare bones, and when you think about it, there's just GTA Online. You have the cars, and you have the modern day, and the vehicles. You know you can like spray paint your cars and do all this stuff. I mean, there's only so much you can do to a horse, and like the horse in and of itself is not that fun to ride. Where I feel like in GTA, it's fun to drive the motorcycles and the Vespas and the cars and the helicopters and the planes and stuff, but like all you have in Red Dead is the horse, and I feel like that was I feel like there was just not much to do.
What do you? Yeah, my question is, what do you do in Red Dead Online?
You do the mission. There's the little missions you can do, like kind of like Grand Theft Auto. You do little missions and stuff, but I don't know. I felt like it just got stale, and they're just GTA Online. There was just so much opportunity to do stuff, and I like Red Dead. I didn't ever play around in the open world as much. I really kind of stayed to the story, and I would never just pick up the game. And I mean, I did sometimes, but I don't know. The sandbox to me isn't as compelling as GTA.
Yeah,
and online, there just simply wasn't much there, much to do. I felt like. Did you ever play Red Dead Online?
No, I never did. But I that's not really for me. I didn't play very much GTA Online either.
Well, GTA Online, you start off as it was just like the games. You start off as a low level criminal.
Right.
You got like a beater car, so you're wanting to do missions. You want to get another car, you want to buy a truck, you want to buy this kind of car, that, and you always have something to strive to. In Red Dead Online, it was just like you can get a different color horse that does basically the same exact thing. Like there was just wasn't much incentive there.
Right.
It is cool though, because it was like a more of an it felt like an RPG, like a role playing. And I think those are the people that liked it were the same people that liked to role play GTA.
Yeah, I was going to say it seemed like there's a lot of opportunity for role play in Red Dead Online. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like Rockstar's given up on it a little prematurely. But
yeah, I agree. I agree.
If nobody's playing, nobody's playing. So, did you guys see that Sony is removing Studio Canal movies from people's like purchase list on PlayStation?
I heard the story. What is Studio Canal?
Hey, real quick, rewind it a second, Thomas. Can you rewind it? I just want to point something out here. Hold on. Keep on. Do you know what I'm about to point out?
No, what are you about to point out?
Look who's in front of you right here.
Oh, look who it is.
Hey.
How are you doing that? That's one of the cooler aspects because even when like obviously I know it's not
ghost?
Cole in front of me, it's I gotta be Cole.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's fun. I like that it imports your friends. Yeah, so Studio Canal is a game, or sorry, not a game studio, movie studio. They are known for movies such as oh god, I'm totally blanking. There are a lot of movies that you know. Here, let me look it up real quick. Studio Canal. From such classics as Paddington, like the original 2 Terminator movies.
Oh, okay.
I think a lot of did they do Tarantino's most recent movie? I think they might have.
Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, really?
I should look at their website rather than just Google. Anyway, a lot of pretty high profile stuff, but they're not like a huge studio. I think
Not like Lionsgate or anything.
Apocalypse
like that.
Now maybe was one of them as well. Okay. So anyway, yeah, like there's a good amount of movies that people had on their PlayStation accounts, and Sony discontinued like movie sales on PlayStation a while ago, but they just like removed everybody's Studio Canal movies from the service without any refunds or anything like that. Like you can't, even if you purchase them, you cannot watch them anymore through PlayStation, which is little nuts to me. And this is definitely like another argument in favor of the buy your shit physically instead of digitally.
Yeah, physical media.
Yeah, it's a little wild.
Yeah, it sucks because like I mean, you know, legally you're just buying the license, and when that license gets pulled, you're done.
Right.
So legally, you know, there's nothing you can do. But it just doesn't feel right. It feels like you purchase the content, you should be able to store it digitally and have it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's the benefit of buying physical, because most physical discs and packages come with the digital as well. You know, like when I buy all my physical DVDs, Blu-rays, they come with the digital code as well. So, I mean, I think if people have a problem with this, which I can imagine a lot of people will, like, you're probably looking at getting physical because you can get both at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a weird one. And this one seems like one where it's like it's not likely to get it's not likely to get enough attention to where it's like going to resolve favorably for anybody. It's just going to be it's just going to be screwed. The people who bought these movies are just going to have to eat shit on this one. It says, like, the notice said, you will no longer be able to view your previously purchased Studio Canal content, and it will be removed from your video library.
Damn. Oh my god.
Cold
Good
shit.
Lord. That's like what's going on in cryptocurrency right now. Have y'all heard of all these exchanges are shutting down because they're just going bankrupt?
No,
so
I hadn't.
Like Voyager is one of them.
Yeah.
Celsius is another. Celsius was huge. And everyone has their crypto like stored. It's basically like Coinbase. Like Celsius was like Coinbase. And all of a sudden they came out and they said we're pausing withdrawals, and that was a month ago.
Oh my gosh.
So now people have like their life savings stored on Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi's having issues too, and like they can't get their coins off. So it's like the argument is not your keys, not your coin. So it's like people, you know, all the hardcore crypto folks are like, hey, you need to store them in like a digital cold wallet.
Right.
Away from these exchanges, because in the terms of service, it says that you are lending your crypto to these platforms, and they in no way owe you anything,
right?
To get the yield or whatever back.
Yeah.
So like people are earning 6% interest a year on their Bitcoin, but that was the caveat, is that there was a chance something could go wrong or whatever. But people are freaking out because
that's pretty fucking scary. I mean, it's like a bank. I mean, bank goes belly up, they're not going to refund you. That's why the FDIC insurance for your whatever the bank's holding for you is. But even that is only to a certain extent, right? It's like up to 200,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So if you got all your retirement savings in a bank that goes belly up, you are totally screwed.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild, though. I'm not entirely surprised that people are panic selling their crypto right now. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, this is just the beginning.
Yeah, everything's going to get worse. I feel like the next 6 months.
Well, I kind of wanted
into recession.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to go into that. I posted an article in the Discord.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
And
the CNBC one.
Yeah, I noticed that today. It was first on my MSN alerts, and I mean, it's kind of expected, just, and what we're talking about is this is looking like it's going to be the first time in years that there's going to be it's going to be what's the best way to put it? Video games set to fall for the first time in years.
Yeah.
We're not setting a new high.
Right. That's
Sales are slower. I mean,
right. I don't want to say video games are going to fall, because no, video games are going to still be, fine, but it's going to be a lower year than, what it was last year. And that hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah. This year's total sales are forecast to be lower than last year's total sales by 1.2%, which there was some kind of obscene growth in the past couple of years just because of COVID and people being inside. Lots of extra game sales plus the new consoles at the same time. So there was a pretty big, what I would call not necessarily a bubble, but maybe a little bit of a bubble in the games industry in terms of sales and recurring revenue. So this is not just the sales forecast dropping by 1.2% behind last year is not as concerning to me as the general idea that game sales are slipping. For one, the consoles are, I mean, they're still pretty damn supply constrained. You can't get them on shelves, right?
I think you can get an Xbox.
You can get a Series X. You've been able to get a Series S.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so you may be able to get a Series S.
Yeah.
X's are more common than PlayStation 5s, but then again, PlayStation 5s are like Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So if there was no supply constraint, it makes you wonder if we would even contract 1.2%, if we would have just been on just the same, maybe at 0 or plus 1%.
Well, also for half of this year, games have pretty much not been able to be sold in Russia, right? That's a big thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. Yeah. So Russia was the 10th largest video game market in the world, and the revenue from Russia alone, I think, is set to drop by about 1.2 or 1.8 billion. Let me look that up real quick.
It's a pretty big chunk of that 1.2% right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right.
And when you look at it like this, it says the market expanded 26% during COVID-19.
Yep.
So you expand 26%,
that's what I'm talking about. This
and you drop
kind of
1
bubble. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're only dropping 1%, 1.2%. So in the past 2 years, they've still expanded 25%, which is still crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think another factor here is just the massive amount of delays this year. We had a pretty strong start to the year, especially, I mean, really propped up by Elden Ring, right? I mean, Elden Ring sales were just astronomical.
Surprisingly massive.
Yeah, and the game continues to sell quite well. But aside from that, it's there's very little going on in terms of exciting new releases this year. outside of the ones that we got early in the year. You know, that kind of, we had a very busy February. We had Horizon, we had Destiny, and we had Dying Light 2, that kind of stuff, and then Elden Ring hit, and then the rest of the year it's been like, you know, crickets, and it basically will be for the entire remainder of the year until God of War comes out, which is another thing we should talk about. It's finally got a release date.
We did.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a slow year. So it's like we are kind of, reaping what was the dominoes with the shifting games industry situation in COVID-19 are falling, in that what was leading to that massive growth is no longer a factor anymore, right? People aren't stuck in their house all the time.
Yeah, I mean, people aren't stuck in their house. You know, it was just like, I feel like the COVID-19 situation just really, like, it pretty much, of all the entertainment like industries, like gaming was the one that benefited the absolute most, I assume, like as far as I can think of. Like,
yeah.
And the other ones were massively affected.
Right.
So it's almost like all those people flocked to gaming.
Right.
But now that we're back open pretty much everywhere, it's like, it's obvious that it's going to dissipate a little bit.
Things are normalizing. Yeah. Things are normalizing. So yeah, I there's a number of factors there, but then also the extra problem there is like we just had this like intense shockwave in 2020 of all of these studios going to full remote work, and just kind of having to deal with that. And some studios deal with it better than others. Some studios realized, wow, we're actually like really effective during remote work, and other studios realized, oh no, you know, we've lost quite a bit of productivity, or this is not working as well as it was in the office, right?
Yeah.
So we're seeing kind of the result of that uncertainty in all of these production timelines for games that were intended to come out this year are just missing their dates left and right. It's just like, you know, and this was already an endemic problem in the industry of like promising your game too early and being unable to deliver it. But I definitely think it's been exacerbated by the remote work situation of the past couple of years.
Looking at you, Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild and Forspoken, which just got delayed too, right? And many others. Yeah, and not only that, but like there's also a massive just labor issue right now in the games industry. I'm seeing it subjectively in just like talking to people that I know in the sphere about like every company is having trouble hiring. Like every single company is having trouble hiring. And all of these companies who never would have considered remote work now have to do permanent remote work availability in order to attract any talent. Right. So it's,
why do you think that is?
Because it's a
perk.
Yeah, I mean, but also like right now it is an employee's market for labor right now. Anybody with any modicum of games industry experience,
but that's starting to change though, right? Because all the big tech companies now are announcing they're laying people off left and right. What was it? Tesla said
Twitter Twitter just had a layoff and their
and with recession looming, like we're starting to see the tides change that way. The same way we're seeing the tides change in the real estate market.
Yeah.
You might be right. I don't think that that kind of wave has hit the games industry yet. I don't think it has.
I think we're humping over though right now with that.
I think we're probably still in the like swell as far as the games industry is concerned. I think like we're still in a place where talent is much needed and in very short supply rather than people getting laid off, that kind of thing. I mean, layoffs are still happening. Hangar 13 had a big layoff somewhat recently. But it's mostly companies are looking around like rabid animals trying to hire at quite a absurd markup, you know, for whatever talent that they can get.
I'm just not sure that 4 months from now that's going to be
it's going to be the same, right? Yeah, exactly. You might be right. You might be right that the tsunami is gonna hit, and especially if what seems like is going to happen, or seems like we're already in a recession, right? It just hasn't been enough months for us to say that officially yet. But if that is the case, how does the labor market change for video games? Yeah, it's a good question.
Where did that extra $10 for all my video games go to? Where is that going?
It went to the cost of transporting the physical goods. It went to the cost of manufacturing all the chips needed to. It got immediately subsumed by inflation. Immediately, might as well have raised the price $20 per game if they wanted to make any more money.
I wonder, is it possible they could raise it again in the next generation?
I don't know. Maybe it depends. I mean, like, inflation right now is is absurd. It's
like gaming was on top of inflation first, it seems, because it's like that happened around like when the new consoles dropped, they raised it to 10, right?
Yeah,
it's crazy to me though that
but they were already way behind inflation on just raising it by 10.
Way behind. And look, we were ahead of it back in the N64 days when games were like $79.
Well, games were priced differently back then, right? Like games were like Super Mario 64 would be priced differently than other new games, right?
I don't think there was standardization.
Yeah, there wasn't. I remember specifically getting Turok Dinosaur Hunter. It was either $74.99 or $79.99. and think about that. Like in 1998, $79 was like $160 now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. They were too high though back then. I mean, that was too high. That's pretty nuts.
And then it leveled out.
The market was like way smaller at that time.
Yeah, it leveled out. I remember like GameCube, because GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox. That was probably my era where I say that's where I became a gamer.
And that's where games were priced.
It was $50.
I feel like
$50. It was $50 for any new game.
$49.99. Yeah, I
missed that.
And then they just got to this phase for the next 15 years where they just didn't really go up.
Well, no, it went from 49 to 59 for PlayStation 3 era.
So 2006. So from 2006 to 2022, they didn't change, or whenever they changed.
And when did the PlayStation? And when did the PlayStation 3 come out? Near a recession.
It's true. Right ahead of one.
Well, the Xbox came out maybe 2 years before the recession, if my memory serves me correct.
Xbox was 2006. 2005. PlayStation 3 was 2006.
And recession was 2007 or 2008? 8. So it trailed 2 years before. I don't know. Gaming seems to predict these things. I don't know what it is. Like they raise the price and then the recession comes.
I'm scared. Like none of us were adults really then. So like now we're all adults, and like I'm kind of scared about something like that.
What?
Another like housing market.
I was gonna say you're scared about $10 to the game.
No, just a financial crisis. Like
right.
Because I didn't have to. I mean, I was in school, I was in college, like. You're just shielded from all that stuff when you're in college, high school, and like you hear your parents talk about it, but it just goes in one ear out the other. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I think about too. Like, what does it mean? Because when you have recession, that automatically means people are going to die. You know, like in whatever ways.
They get to the next level. Good Lord.
But it's like, you know, when recession happens,
left and right, guys.
Yeah, it's left and right.
Nice knowing you, buddy. It's over.
But yeah, it's just like times just get harder for people, you know. And
yeah,
I am worried partially about that, but also worried about what's going to happen to the gaming industry through a recession as well. Because I mean, the consoles just dropped.
I feel like the gaming industry will be fine because you know, like video games and alcohol are like things that. Like seriously, people buy alcohol during a recession, and video games are relatively cheap entertainment. That like, you know, I feel like people get depressed and they want to escape, and it's a form of escapism.
I think it. I think
movie
it depends on
what. Too.
I think it depends on what sector of the games industry you're looking at. I think the games that are reliant on recurrent spending, so a a lot of games that are buoyed by their microtransactions or are free to play, right? That don't have initial investment from players. I think those are the ones that are going to be the hardest.
Well, mommy might get Jimmy a little less V-Bucks per year.
That exactly. And mommy might also spend less money on her Candy Crush addiction,
right?
Which is where like a lot of that money comes from, like people who have it. So yeah, I think that's where we'll see the biggest constriction. But like all of these companies are at this point invested in all of these sectors, right? Like all of the big game companies that we would think about as like the core gaming sphere have either mobile units, like we were just talking about Rockstar and Take-Two. I mean, Take-Two just bought Zynga at the top of the year. And Zynga they bought them for how much? Like 12 billion? Something like that? 16 billion?
Monopoly money, yeah.
A lot. And Zynga's total mobile house, right? So they're heavily invested in mobile at this point. Microsoft, I actually don't know the extent to which Microsoft owns mobile developers or anything like that. But Sony's spinning up a mobile division, and like it's not just mobile, right? Oh, whoops, my camera went out.
We still hear you.
It's anything that is like I said, heavily reliant on recurrent user spending. So any console game that's free to play that is really makes its actual money on microtransactions. GTA Online is one of them. So yeah, you could see knock-on effects to that, where the belt gets tightened there, and then they don't, they're not going to turn off the spigot to GTA Online just because GTA Online isn't making as much money. They're going to stop investing in outside stuff that they were investing in before. And yeah, I mean, I that's probably going to take the form of cutting projects that are less likely to be profitable in the long term, right? Everybody's going to get a little bit more conservative with how they're.
We just saw that with Take-Two. They decided not to do those the remasters of GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, is that right? I didn't see that.
Yeah. One was they saw how horribly the GTA Trilogy collection released to. That horrible reception probably scared them away too, but probably also just too expensive. And I feel like everything for them is hands-on for.
Yeah, that's what they said in the article. They're full speed ahead GTA 6,
and it's still not coming out till 2028.
We'll get a trailer.
I don't know. So where did you see that they had like canceled planned remasters?
I saw it too.
It was on IG. It was on IGN. That's where I first saw it. Let me see if I can find it.
It was
That got me a little disappointed too, because I feel
it's a bummer.
GTA 4 was the one where I'm like, if that could get like a remaster, like not even a remake per se, like that middle ground between remake and remaster. I feel like if GTA 4 could fit right there, people.
Yeah, I see it on Kotaku.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bummer, and I feel like that's kind of for the wrong reason. Although if they were trying to give these remasters to the same studio that did the collection, then I certainly understand that reticence, right? But I don't think it's not a general lack of appetite for remasters and remakes that is the problem here, right? It's the poor handling of those remasters that was the problem.
I mean, hell, Cole still bought the original the trilogy. Yeah, he loved it.
Yeah, they still sold well.
So I feel, I think you're right about that. Yeah, there was a market. I was willing if that, because I played San Andreas on Game Pass. If that was just a little better, I would have loved that.
I think Rockstar looks at it like, look, they're not going to waste their in-house resources on remastering those games. It's just not what they do. They're going to keep pushing the envelope forward for the next Red Dead and the next GTA. And
I guess my thing is they could all. I feel like it's no. I mean, obviously, there's work. I'm not trying to say there's no work in it,
but anything they do,
giving it to another studio, not saying that it's going to be Blue Point, but giving it to a studio that does this and they can just focus on that. I don't feel like that takes anything away from GTA.
No, I agree, and that's what they did. But they just picked a terrible studio to do it. What was the studio that did these games again?
Ooh.
It was like some no-name.
They're
Grove
lost.
Street.
They're lost in
Grove
the
Street
ether.
Games.
Grove Street Games.
So they put this studio together, I guess. Grove Street Games.
Yeah, kind of like probably 343 was put together by Microsoft.
I think they were purchased after they did the mobile ports of the GTA games.
Oh, okay.
That would make sense. And I heard those were poorly received too. Like I remember that.
Well, they ain't gonna, Grove Street Games ain't gonna be they ain't gonna be around much longer. I feel like.
Yeah, they're on Grove Street.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I agree. They could have given it to someone else, someone reputable that could have done it.
Look, maybe they can't. They just spent how many billion to buy Zynga?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me look that up real quick.
So maybe they, to do that, they had to cut projects like that.
12.7 billion. But there's also all these articles that came out around May this year that Take-Two is planning to release 8 more remasters, which it revealed that in that plan in a financial report, and that they were going to remaster 8 more games and release them by 2025. Maybe these were, Red Dead and GTA 4 were among them. So maybe it's not 8 anymore, but it seems like to kill 8 remasters like that in development seems pretty drastic. Especially because, again, I mean, like, it's not like the trilogy sold poorly because people weren't enthusiastic about a remaster trilogy of the GTA 3 games.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish they would remaster those games, but the one I want the most, and if Red Dead and GTA 4 need to be sacrificed, that's fine. Give me a Bully. Give me a Bully 2. Give me a Bully remake. Give me that. If I get that, I'm not complaining. That's another underrated.
You will never get Bully
Rockstar
2.
game.
Never.
I know I'm never going to get it, man. I know. But man can dream. Did you like Bully, Cole?
No. I didn't really.
Wow.
Well, I didn't never really play it. So,
Okay.
Which is kind of crazy. I would like to go back and try it.
My mom, that was the only Rockstar game she was okay with me playing.
Do y'all remember State of Emergency?
That sounds
Yes,
familiar.
I do.
It was like if that had came out in today's climate, there's no way they would release that game. It was a game about shooting up like public places.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was absurd.
What?
It was.
It was a game like you'd go into a mall and like just wreak havoc. It was
When did this
absurd.
come out?
It was great. It was Rockstar, PlayStation 2. It came out after GTA 3.
The thing is
It was
that
like
game,
a Dead Rising style game, but
that game wouldn't be able to come out today. But like, I'm sure somebody could create something like that. I'm sure there's something like that in VR. I think there's a game like that in VR that's similar.
it was crazy. It's kind of a like not many people know about that game, but it was a Rockstar game.
Rockstar definitely don't talk about it.
No, heck no. So it's like a Riot game.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think that's all for Rockstar news. Rockstar had a pretty eventful week. We heard a lot about GTA 6 in terms of, except for what the actual game is. But we heard a lot about like just they are hands down just all they're focused on is GTA 6. I think I saw a quote that they want to live up to players' expectations. I'm curious. I don't know what GTA 6 could possibly be, where it could ever live up to the hype.
Right.
It's gonna be Vice City.
It's possible.
Like, was GTA 5 this hyped?
Yeah,
It was really.
It was really hyped. No, it
really
was,
hyped.
but was it this hyped? Like that's
I don't think so. I don't think it's. I think GTA 6 will be more hyped because GTA 5 reached a level that GTA 4 never even touched. So I think GTA 6 will be more hyped. But at the time, GTA 5 was the most hyped video game imaginable. Like I don't think there was anything ever that was close to it. And I think this is in true like Rockstar fashion. Their next game will be the most hyped video game imaginable. And part of that goes to their marketing, which is so freaking good. So good.
They spend a lot of money marketing those games, for sure. I remember seeing GTA 5 advertisements on every bus, every billboard, everything.
New York and
all
LA.
over. Everywhere.
They'd buy those big 3 murals where they put on those 3
Completely
buildings.
inescapable. Oh yeah, for E3 that year. Yeah, totally nuts.
Well, maybe it will be. Maybe we'll get it.
I just want a trailer because I want to talk. I want to be able to talk about it.
Well, good luck. It's going to be a few years. What won't be a few years, surprisingly, is God of War Ragnarok, which got a release date this week. Which just like out of the blue, I don't know like what the strategy was there, but I just woke up one morning and there was a trailer, 30-second trailer on YouTube that had the release date. November 9th, 2022. Who's got this on their fantasy draft? Cole, is that you? Oh,
I got it.
Thomas strikes back.
This has been a very up and down week for my fantasy draft. Past 2 weeks, actually, because I got God of War confirmed for this year. I lost Forspoken, and Bayonetta 3 is in the ether. So I'm like, I won one battle, but I lost. I'm losing 2. You know, so I'm happy that it's coming out. I think it's going to be a certified hit. I think you all were kind of worried about it being more of the same. Do you guys still feel that way?
Yeah. I think it's gonna be really good though, but I think it's gonna be a lot. I think it's just gonna be more of the same.
I mean, I think it's gonna be at minimum the best looking game when it comes out. I think at minimum it's gonna be.
I don't know if it's gonna beat Horizon Forbidden West.
I don't know. Like God of War for PlayStation 4, even on like PlayStation 5, like right now, it looks incredible.
I still haven't played Forbidden West, so I don't know how good it really looks, but nothing has beat Demon's Souls remake for me. Yeah, that one is just intense. That one is just so intense.
Well, would you say the moment to moment of Demon's Souls remake looks incredible? Because I love how like the opening cinematic looks. I like the sense of like when you're in a world, like there's really great backgrounds and everything. But like the facial animations, like it looks like a remake to me.
There's very little in the way of facial animation, but that's true to From Software.
Yeah, that's my only knock against Demon's Souls. It looks incredible besides that. But I give the edge to Horizon just because like the full package of Horizon just looks incredible. The whole
No, I can absolutely understand that, and I think Horizon's setting and its art style is probably more I don't know, more able to evoke those kind of jaw-dropping,
more attractive
visual spectacle moments. Yeah, whereas like the muted colors and an understated design of Demon's Souls. Although I feel it's very beautiful and like dark and mysterious and interesting. It's not as captivating as Forbidden West is. But in terms of sheer graphical fidelity, nothing has beat Demon's Souls for me.
Both very, very great looking games. Yeah. And I think God of War is going to just be right there with them.
Yeah, I think it will. I think it'll be a really, really good looking game.
I'm excited to play it because I know what it is.
Right.
And I enjoyed the other one, but
I'm excited to see what the story's about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm most looking forward to. Although I'm already kind of feeling like I hope the game is not too big. God of War 2018 was a pretty damn big game, but it wasn't as big as it could have been, right? Like it felt like they had a little bit of restraint there. It wasn't a full open world game, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm worried that this one is just going to be like bigger, and that's not going to be a positive.
Yeah, I mean, I liked how because it was semi-open world. The first one
Right.
was like it was like once you got to a certain point in the story, it was like, yeah, go anywhere and do whatever you want to do, but there is a narrative path to follow, and it's not open world like GTA where there's a lot of stuff you can do. It's like you can do specific missions. You can go find the Valkyries if you want.
Yeah.
You can do this side mission if you want, but that's pretty much it. I don't expect them to change that aspect of it. I think the going to different realms is going to be a little different this time around. I think that's going to be bigger. But I don't think they're going to create an open world game.
We shall
This
see.
is a full sequel, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Remember when it was first announced, we were like, is this like a
Expansion or something? Still?
yeah.
And it's supposed to be like, it's just this, like the first game and this game, and it's going to be a duality. Or is that how you say it?
Duology.
Duology, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as the Norse saga is concerned, this is the end of the Norse aspect of Kratos' life. Does Kratos survive past the Norse saga? Do we pick up with
I
Atreus
think he
after
does,
this?
but I think it's going to be in a different role where we're going to get Atreus as the main character going forward.
I hope not. I don't
hope
think
not, too.
Yeah, I think Kratos is God of War in a way that like Joel was not necessarily The Last of Us, you know? So I don't think they should do a thing where they're like, you know, they're going to change player characters in between releases. I think yeah, I don't know. I don't see that. I don't see
you don't want to play
franchise.
God of Mischief?
I do. Make it a spinoff, but I don't, you know, that's not God of War. I think Kratos is God of War.
Yeah.
Agreed. I'm a Atreus hater, so I do not.
You
I will
are.
not,
You are.
I will
You are an
not be
Atreus
playing
hater.
a God of Mischief game if that ever comes out.
Let me ask y'all this: do you think so? How you see Kratos is God of War? Like, you really can't make a God of War game without Kratos. Do you think Snake is that same to Metal Gear Solid?
No, because of Metal Gear
No.
Solid 2.
Yeah.
They already did it. They already
Well, that's
did
why
it.
it pissed everybody off. That's why
yeah,
they
exactly.
thought
I'm sure the people who were like diehard Metal Gear Solid fans at that time, you know, could have made the exact same argument I'm going to make about Kratos, but and they certainly did, and they were all pissed about it. But
Yeah, I don't think you can make I don't think you should make a God of War game without Kratos being there, being the playable character.
yeah,
And I don't even have that much affinity for Kratos. He's definitely not one of my favorite characters, even in PlayStation lore. But you know, this is his franchise.
yeah.
I don't know of
I mean,
another
there
game
were-
that's
there
so
have
intrinsically
been-
tied to the character. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, there have been 7 God of War games. 7 God of War
7?
games. Yeah. 1, 2, 3,
Even-
Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta, Ascension, 2018. That's 7.
7? Okay. I thought there was
Um,
more. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. So 7.
yeah, 7. This will be the 8th, and every single one of them has been Kratos as the main character. Every single one of them has been Kratos as I think the only playable character, with the exception of the multiplayer in Ascension, which nobody remembers.
That was a weird era. We're all like
Everything
these
had to
single
have
player.
multiplayer.
Yeah, Mass Effect had multiplayer. Assassin's Creed. Oh, that was a
Yeah,
weird era.
It
man.
was. BioShock 2 had multiplayer.
Right.
So crazy.
Yeah, everything had multiplayer. So yeah, I mean, like, I just don't think even with Metal Gear Solid. I mean, there was the 2 Metal Gear games where Snake was the protagonist of those 2 games, but really, I mean, when you're talking about the Metal Gear Solid series, not that many people had played Metal Gear 1 and 2 that were fans of the original Metal Gear Solid. So you're talking about one game. You're talking about one game, and then the second game pulls this trick where you're actually playing as a different protagonist for most of the game.
Right.
And I understand why that sneakiness of like, oh, you know, in the demo, Snake was the playable character, right? And in the tanker section, he is the playable character, and then you play as Raiden for the bulk of the game. I understand why that pissed people off. It just set up expectations in the wrong way. But like that franchise at that time was not so intrinsically tied to Snake as God of War now is to Kratos.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Especially because they proved they can. There's still, facets to explore with this character. There are still different interesting things that they can do, different places that they can go with it. Even after 6 games, the 7th game surprised people. The 7th game was able to pull new things out of this character and take him to new places. And it wasn't making him a dad. Kratos was always a dad. That was that was like the main driver of him in the original game. If you remember, he killed his family in a rage. Right? He always had a daughter. So it wasn't necessarily that. I guess maybe it was like forcing him to actually be a dad in the context of the present narrative. That was interesting, but there's still plenty that they could do with this character if they want to do creative things. But where do you think they take, like, setting wise? I think we've talked about this before, but like, do they try to do a different type of pantheon after Norse mythology, or do they like step away from God of War for a little while and do other franchises at Santa Monica for a bit?
They take him over to Christianity.
Oh my God, Kratos versus Jesus.
I was gonna say, like,
the game
takes some chutzpah to do something like that, but I also feel like that would not come off very well. Not because it would be offensive, but because it would, like, our culture's too like ingrained in Christianity to where it would, like, it would almost come off as like trite. Or silly. It's like a little bit like South Park, like Jesus.
Yeah. Well, the opening scene is Moses parting the Red Sea, and like Kratos is standing there.
And it's also like, just from to get in the weeds of the religions, like Norse mythology, it's all about pretty much infighting between the gods.
Right. There's a lot of inherent violence there, which Old Testament there is, but like it's kind of Jesus's whole thing is that.
Yeah, and it's not really in Christianity. The whole thing is there's only 3, and they're all.
Well, there's only one.
There's only one, and there's three and they're
one.
separated into 3, and they're all kind of the same. It's like a hive mind.
No, I'm just kidding. I could never see them doing that. Like, never.
I think I'd enjoy that, just to see what it would
be
like.
That would be nuts. That would be so nuts for them to even try that. That would be.
It's like crazy. Kratos would team up with Lucifer to try to take over heaven, essentially. Like that's what it would be.
Well, they did do Dante's Inferno. I mean, like, there's a way to do that kind of thing.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point.
Will they do it though? Dante's Inferno was like a straight up God of War clone, if I recall.
Yeah, it was. I didn't like it. I remember I played it at the time. And I played on Game Pass too. It wasn't a good God of War clone. And that form of God of War doesn't even exist anymore, right? Like,
yeah, right.
There's really no games that really play like that anymore.
The spider just came down right in front of my face.
He said a spider?
Yes, right in front of my face.
He had an opinion about Kratos. He wanted to share.
I know. I'm freaking out.
Kratos sucks.
Maybe somehow connected to my hat. He spun a web and he's connected it to me.
Oh shit!
Oh god dang!
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like I'm Norse out, man. Between like Thor,
I know, dude. Yeah. It's been like just Viking City for fucking years now,
and like that's it's not my least favorite of all those of the mythic gods or anything. I like Norse mythology, but Greece mythology is where it's at. Like, that's where like the sweet spot is. Like, I kind of wish we would get like a God of War game in the style of the new one, but set to the Greece backdrop of the old games. Like, give me a God of War 3 remake with that new system. You got me back completely. Like, that'd be my most anticipated game of the year. Because I don't know. There's something about like those old God of War games, especially God of War 3 is my favorite of them. Probably my favorite God of War game, to be honest. and they just had a different style. It was just completely different. Now it seems like they've gone for this like HBO storytelling, like more mature storytelling. And I can appreciate that, but I miss when they were just straight up video games with this insane plot. Like Kratos just wants to kill Zeus.
Kill everybody.
He just
kill
wants to
all the gods.
and say like it was something about that where he's just going around to all the different gods, decapitating one of them, and he uses them as like a fucking guide. Like there was something to that I missed. That I feel the new game since the next one's coming out, it feels a lot more grounded.
Yeah. There were definitely like moments of crazy spectacle where you're like fighting the dragon and stuff in 2018, but it never got bigger than God of War 3 or even God of War 2.
There was never a scene to me that even rivaled the opening of God of War 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the bridge from God of War 2 to 3 is like one of the most memorable things in gaming to me. It's just like the way that 2 ends. I remember playing all the God of War games when I was in high school. I played them well after they had come out. I never had like a PS2 or anything like so I came to them late. So I played the remasters on PS3, and I finished God of War 2, and all the Titans are going up to attack Olympus. And I'm like, holy shit! And so like I like went to the bathroom and like switched out the discs, and then immediately started playing God of War 3 after. I was like, I have to see where this is going.
You're so lucky because I had to wait. Like,
right, you had to wait how many years?
I beat God of War 2 like maybe 2007.
Yeah,
and I had to wait like I think 2 years, and I was like, oh my gosh! And then we start right off of 2.
Yeah,
with him using Gaia to oh my god, like
it's good shit.
I replayed it a couple. I got it for PlayStation 4. I got the remastered, and it doesn't look that great, but just going through that sequence again was jaw dropping.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Do you have history with God of War, Cole, besides 2018?
No. In 2018, I never played the other ones.
Do you think you'd ever go back to play them?
Maybe. Like, I mean, I played them. I played bits and pieces of them. I don't remember anything about them. I mean, I may. Hearing y'all talk about it kind of makes me want to do it.
You might like them. I mean, like they still feel very good to play. They're very like kinetic action games. They're very fun, and there's a good bit of like puzzling in the early games that is a little bit feels a little bit stale in that by modern standards. But I think they hold up pretty damn well. I don't think they're.
Are they part of the PlayStation collection? Like, are they free to play?
Well, I was about to say.
They're.
Well, are they? I feel like it's just the streaming, right?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
1 and 2 are, and Chains of Olympus and Ghost is part of the remasters of the PSP games. Those ones are all only available on PS3, so they're only available on streaming for. But I mean, like I played them on streaming. I didn't play them originally on streaming, but I did play through. For my platinum run, like last year or the year before, I played through 1 and 2 and Chains of Olympus on PlayStation Now, and it was fine. It was totally fun.
Yeah, I may try it.
They're not even that long. I think.
I may try to play them before Ragnarok comes out.
The thing is, it's on my list. I'm looking forward to it being hopefully a 94 or above. I don't know if I'm playing it opening day.
It's not going to be a 94 or above. I guarantee.
I need it. I need it to be.
I'll have to get it opening day just because it's going to be like the only hype game this fall.
Yeah, it's like the only thing coming out. What do you mean you're not going to get it? You're going to get it.
You're not going to play the Last of Us remake?
Heck no.
You're telling me you're going to spend $70 on the Last of Us the third time over God of War?
I'm not spending my money on either, honestly. Yep. Like I have too much in my backlog that like that game would have to. I mean, even the first one, because the first one was getting those 10s out of 10s, and I was like, okay, I think I do need to pick this up. And then
that's happened with you in Elden Ring, right?
Yeah, but I say with Elden Ring, it was more so the peer pressure I got from you, Alfredo, and partially Ben that forced me to get Elden Ring.
And everybody else in the world.
And the thing is, I saw the reviews before it came out, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be one of the greatest games of all time. Cool, I'll wait a bit. But then once you all were telling me, no, this is a must play, Nick. I'm like, all right.
This is like, I get so trapped in the hype because I'm like, if I had said that sentence, I'd have been like, wait, this is going to be one of the best games of all time. I got to get it. I got to get it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, for me, like the original God of War, I don't want to say it let me down because I think it's a good game. But there's a lot of problems with it that I feel nobody ever talks about because everybody
God of War 2018.
Yeah.
What problem? What do you got with it?
I feel that the narrative it's good. It's really good in a lot of parts, but it feels almost incomplete and it feels to me unsatisfying.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the first part of a larger story for sure. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Like they tease a lot, like not even towards the end. Like they tease stuff. I'd say like 40% into the game.
Yeah,
with Thor.
Yeah, and then when I come to the realization that no, the game's almost over. What the fuck? Like, and I start realizing like, okay, so this story is not about all the greater gods. It's about this personal story between Kratos. I forgot the name of the god. I forgot his name. But Baldur, thank you. Baldur and Freya. This was essentially the core of the story. And I'm like, this was a very small scale story for like.
Yeah. I agree with you. I actually don't think that's a bad thing because it allows them to zoom in much closer on the relationship with Kratos and Atreus. But it makes me concerned for the fact that there's only one more game to finish out this story because I feel like we got the first chapter and we need a second and third chapter. And I feel like they're going to condense, like you need so we have like the setup and now we need the escalation, which is the second game, right? Like just thinking about the way that they handled the first God of War trilogy, you have the setup, you have the smaller story in God of War 1, which even then it was like larger in scale than what we had in God of War 2018. And then you have the way things ramp up with the conflict with Zeus in God of War 2. And then it's like the revenge quest in God of War 3 and shit all comes to a head, right? We have the setup here and we have like conflict here with Freya, but I don't know, like, I mean, do they have runway to, and not only with Freya, but also with Atreus' nature. Yeah. Do they have the runway to flesh that out and then close it out, right? That's the thing that I think is the biggest question mark in my head is like, is this thing going to be a satisfying ending? Or am I going to come away from chapter 2 of the Norse saga thinking they needed a chapter 3?
Well, I think there's no way it's going to be like this is going to be where God of War finishes.
I have a feeling that it is not the end of this story that they're telling. I have a feeling that this whole thing where they're saying this is the end of the Norse saga, I have a feeling that that's a feint and that it's the end of them being in Norse mythology, but it's not the end of Atreus and it's not the end of their interaction with these characters, right? Maybe Thor dies and maybe Odin dies in this game, or maybe they don't. Maybe Atreus and Kratos just leave. They go to a new land, right? Mm-hmm. And now they're dealing with different gods. But I feel like we are going to get a third God of War game in this modern series that finishes off this story, but maybe in a new setting. What do you guys think about that? Is that crazy? Or is this gonna just be a duology, like Thomas said?
I would lean towards what you're saying in terms of I just know this is not the last God of War game. And I know that they're not going to abandon this storyline like this. Like it's going to pick up in a different way. But I do think that could lead to them being like, all right, the next game is the God of Mischief. And it's going to be like,
yeah.
And that leads me to my second criticism of God of War. I hate Atreus. I hate him as a character.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to hate him more or less as a teenager?
I think it's very possible I'm going to hate him more.
Yeah.
Just because how I know the story of Loki to be.
Like, going to become a real piece of shit.
Yeah, like I feel like it's impossible for Loki to.
But when I found that out, it almost made me like think, wow, they did make me not like him, and he does turn out to be a piece of shit. Like, so like it was almost like verified that
They justified him being a piece of shit.
Yeah,
essentially.
But I think
I don't think that was the intention, but
no, I know.
yeah, one thing in terms of like weaknesses that God of War 2018 had was I do feel like Atreus's mental state throughout the game does not naturally segue between states. Like there are rationalizations for the reasons that he acts the way he does at the stages at which he does, but they don't flow naturally from one to another. I think it's because they don't have enough runway to naturalistically evolve. Like he shifts into dick mode and then he shifts, like
he shifts into dick mode for the sake of the plot. And I agree with you, Ben. Like, because one thing I know is really
it all feels like it happens so abruptly.
Yeah,
when he shifts in and out of his moods.
One thing I feel is really tricky with writing anything is writing kids. Because it's like writing kids and writing pets. Because they're these entities when you're writing something that's like, you want to portray them as accurately as possible.
Last of Us did a great job.
Absolutely. Last of Us, and this is not a video game, but one of my new favorite shows is Spy Family. It's an anime. And there's this character who's this little girl and she's a psychic. So she can read other people's minds. So whenever anybody's having like an anime monologue, she can like read their mind to hear what they're saying. But like she does it works out in a way where it's like she hears what they're saying, but she's still a kid. So she doesn't like fully understand everything. And like it doesn't turn into, she hears it for the convenience of the plot. It's like she hears it because they want to be natural to how the story is, like to the rules of this world. And I think it's very impressive how they write her. And I feel like with Atreus, it leans more towards he's lashing out right now because the plot needs him to lash out. And then we go back to, okay, he's a good kid. He's playing with the two dwarves. It's like, I don't know. It's just, for me, he didn't work out as a kid. There's a chance as a teenager he might be better. I'm hoping. Because to me, that's what this game is relying on to me. Like, if Atreus works in this game for me, I might enjoy it a lot more. Because it was never the combat of the gameplay. Like that was top tier in God of War.
It's tough to get those kind of companion characters right. I mean, Ellie's a good example, but the one that I always think about is like really, really hitting the mark for me is Elizabeth in BioShock.
I was about to say she's the other one. Yeah, she's the other one that
it's just fantastic.
I would argue she's the best. She's probably the best. Yeah. Ellie's second, and then there's a big gap between who I.
Yeah, she was an awesome character.
I think, I mean, like it's tough to make a companion character like that for one, but also then it's quite tough to make one that drives the plot. That
and
you
a
really
kid.
Feel like you, sure. I mean, like, that's another wrinkle. I don't know. I mean, like, Ellie doesn't really drive the plot in The Last of Us, right? I mean, like,
well, she is the plot, really. Right?
She's the inciting.
She is the
element,
MacGuffin.
Right?
She is the MacGuffin.
She's the MacGuffin, right? Yeah, exactly. She's the MacGuffin. But Joel is the agent for the most part.
He's the active character, in
the game, in the first game, except for when you're, the part where you're playing as Ellie.
And then the roles are kind of reversed, where he is like
he's the inciting incident in Last of Us 2.
Such a good fucking game. Jesus.
But Elizabeth in Infinite, I'm trying to think about just the way that I think Elizabeth does drive a lot of the plot in Infinite.
She is sometimes both passive and active character in that story.
I think it can, it switches in and out, right? It switches between, like, they kind of pass it the agency back and forth between Booker and Elizabeth, which I think helps them feel like a more cohesive unit, even when they're separated, right? Like, you feel that separation a little bit better. You don't feel like you've got a companion character tagging along with you the way that you might sometimes feel with Ellie, even like as much as you enjoy her presence. And then Kratos with Kratos and Atreus, I feel like you might have hit on something, Thomas, where like it feels too much like Atreus is the one that's pulling Kratos by the leash too often. And then you, for like stupid reasons, especially in that moment where you like, or in that section where you go to is it Hell? Is it Hel? Is that right in Norse mythology? Where you're going to like the frozen area.
Oh, right,
You're chasing after Atreus essentially because Atreus is fucked up.
That's probably my favorite part of the game, to be honest. Like that was.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, my favorite part of the game was when he got the chains. That was where
so
I was.
Good. That part is so good.
That was hype.
Seared into my brain.
Because for something, I don't know, for some reason, I wasn't ever expecting him to get the chains.
Me neither. I just didn't. It seems like so obvious, but I did not think they were doing it. I thought they wanted like that full kind of break from the old games. And
what's crazy
when
is
I realized that the entire game he had been talking to Athena.
Right.
I was like,
that's the other one too.
My God, that is so crazy.
I bet that was awesome for y'all who had the background, because I thought it was incredible when he got the chains, and I hadn't played the games.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine like you guys, like how exciting.
And it was like, you could tell the atmosphere of the game completely changed. Like when he got the chains, like, because they really hyped it up in a really good word where he's going back home.
Yeah.
He's hearing
they let the
Athena.
moment really sit. Yeah. They let it have time, which was great.
I have tremendous respect for God of War 2018. I really do. Like it's such a really good game. It's no Spider-Man, but it's no everybody's golf. But it's but it's a very good,
it's no Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins.
It's no chaos. It's no chaos. But I think that a sequel has the opportunity to really expand the scope, but not. I feel like it shouldn't go, like you said, too far. It definitely shouldn't be an open world game. And I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be more like Final Fantasy VII Remake in terms of how big it is.
Yeah.
Well, guys, is there any more to say? Shall we wrap it here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that.
Still 2 hours.
Yeah, I think that we covered pretty much everything in the video game world. Trying to think. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
It was great hanging out with you guys as always, chilling and watching some games. Until next time, I bid thee all farewell.